Hey everyone, Alex here from Rowan Health and Wellness. Thanks for joining me again. Today I want to talk about this wonderful screen that we spend so much time in front of and how much that's actually affecting our health and simple ways that we can manage our time in front of it. So kind of to start off, electromagnetic frequencies. I'm starting off big terms right out the gate, but that's what is emitted from your phones that we kind of are concerned about a bit and how they're affecting our health. So they come from not only your cell phones, but also the Wi-Fi that's circulating around us at any given time. So the World Health Organization has recognized that EMFs is a potential risk for cancer. So if it's enough for them to consider it, it's enough for me in my practice to consider it. However, the investigation continues as one can imagine the repercussions of a statement that actually comes out that says definitively that cell phones do cause cancer are going to cause a large upset. Right now, to be 100% sure before anybody comes out on a large scale and makes a claim like that. So a statement made by the World Health Organization is that based largely on the data that they have, the IARC, which is the group who is looking at the implications of the radio waves that were surrounding us all the time, is classifying radio frequency electromagnetic fields as possible carcinogens to humans. So we're taking a look at, and then they've classified them as Group B or Group 2B, which is a category that is assigned to a casual association as considered credible, but not 100% certainty. So they want to make sure that there's no bias, there's nothing else that could possibly be explaining why they're seeing this association. So they're still in the midst of looking into it, but they do have reason to believe that it could be contributing to rates of cancer that we're seeing. So more than bees. I love bees, I love honey. I would cry if our world ran out of either one. And the reason that the science behind the implications of cell phone waves and bees is actually the way that the bees communicate gets interfered with the cell phone waves that are going around in the air, and it throws them off rhythm and they can't communicate anymore. So if it's enough to be able to influence these creatures, why would it not be influencing our cells is kind of what is the thought process out there. But the severity goes even further. Actually, in France, they have banned all Wi-Fi from daycares to protect the child's development. And you can click on the article below and take a look. And just recently, I've also seen California is also starting to support very similar practices with either banning or reducing Wi-Fi because of, again, these concerns around it being harmful to our health. Now, this is kind of funny. So even if this was all kind of being blown out of proportion by this company or that company who have a vested interest, if you take a look on your phone, so on my Apple phone, if I go into settings and then I go into general, about, and then you scroll down to legal, it'll actually state the RF exposure clause, saying in so many words they understand that their devices emit these waves, that there is a possibility that it could be harmful for your health, and that you should take the precautions to keep your cell phones at a safe distance at all time and not to hold them right up against your body on an ongoing basis. So that's from the actual cell phone companies themselves. So I kid you not, if you have a cell phone, there's similar warnings, I believe, on other phones as well, Androids, Blackberries. So take a look. I can just say 100% though, from an iPhone point of view, that it is right in there, hidden. Really, you probably have to look for it, but it's there. So we don't want to get to the point where we're walking around like this and worrying about radio waves per se. So what are some of the things that you can do to protect yourself from all of the waves that are coming off of your devices? I know the mentality is, but my phone, it's always within, arm's length. Or this is also about computers. This is all about cordless phones in your home. This is about TVs and the screen and the waves that come from there. So things that you can do in your home to reduce how much. I mean, in a hospital setting where I work, I am surrounded by Wi-Fi at all times. It's a hotspot. It's a matter of limiting reasonably how much exposure you do have. So when I'm at home, before I go to bed tonight, turn off the Wi-Fi. I'm not using it. I'm sleeping. My phones in my home have cords. So if anybody needs to get a hold of me, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I have a landline, so I can turn my cell phone off at night and it not be an issue. Or at least turn it on to airplane mode. So there you go. Next point. If you can, for periods of time, turn your phone on to airplane mode. So it's not actually sending or receiving any signals, but you can still do some basic stuff. You can still take photos. You could still set your alarm. So if that's something that you use at night for your alarm clock, you can still use it for that. And if you are in an emergency, you can, of course, swipe over, turn it back on, and go from there. Try not to carry your cell phone right against your body, especially for women, against your reproductive organs. So things like pockets in your jeans. If you keep it, I have one of my winter coats actually has a pocket right up here. So I'm like, ugh. I used to carry it in there, and then thinking, oh my goodness, the radiation right up against my chest. Not super excited about that. So now putting it in something like a coat pocket or a purse if I'm carrying it on. If I'm at work or at home, I can try to keep it, at a distance in the same room so I can see it, but at a distance. So that's another thing. The closer it is, the more concentrated those waves are. Charge your phone in a different room if you can at night instead of keeping it right beside your bed. For me, I keep it about 3 meters away, and it charges over on my dresser. And when my alarm goes off in the morning, then I have to get up and actually go. So, 2 wins there. 1, I don't hit snooze, and 2, I'm not sitting beside an emitting device all night long. So again, I mentioned if you can change your phones in your home from cordless to corded, or if you're going to, at least try to keep it, away from where you're spending the majority of your time. Things like the bedroom. And I turn the Wi-Fi off at night anyways, so that's a helpful point there for anything that's in my home office. The wireless headset, if you are going to be talking on your cell phone for a stretch of time, try to use a wireless headset as opposed to holding the device to your head for the degree of time. Or use the speaker if you can. That tends to be generally my go-to instead of carrying something with me. I just will use my speaker. So careful if anybody calls me. I usually will put you on speaker. Did you know that there's a market out there for EMF clothing? It's actually not too bad. Might be worth a look, especially if you are pregnant or looking to get pregnant, and blocking those from your developing fetus. Be aware of how much you kind of get in a day. If you're walking down the street and thinking you're not getting very much, if you pull your cell phone out and you look to see, how many bars you have, chances are you're still walking through an area that has Wi-Fi even though you're outside. So it has quite the stretch. So be aware of how much you're likely exposed to throughout the day. Again, at work, I have it pretty much all the time. From the time I pretty much park my car, walk to my office, it's there. So be mindful. So when I do come home, to try to decrease as much as I can while I'm at home, and take those measures to reduce how much I'm exposed to. Avoid using your laptop on your lap. If you can, put it on a pillow or on a desk so it's far enough away, and not right again, because it's also emitting and sending those waves. If you have kids that play games on devices, while they're playing, you can turn it on airplane mode. First of all, that's great because the EMF. The other thing is that then that way they're not answering your text messages. I get them from my niece from time to time. Or they're not accidentally buying more lives for Candy Crush on iTunes. So turning it on airplane mode, kids can still play. There are something called AirTech devices, which actually, it's like a pocket that your cell phone can fit in, and it will block those waves. And then, of course, when you take it out, then you get all the information to your phone. But at least if you're going to have to carry it on yourself, you could put it in this pouch and then put it in your pockets. Again, protecting all of your organs as much as you can. And again, changing the backlighting on your devices. Again, cell phones, you can usually do the night shade. I pretty much keep it on nightshade all day long. I have no problem seeing it still with that. It decreases how much of the blue light is coming through. You can also, in the email, there's a link to a program that you can download to use it on your computers as well to decrease how much blue light is coming through and emitting to your eyes. So, I know that's a lot of things, and you know, it might be a slow process. You might do 1 or 2 this week, whatever works for you. My big thing is for women, especially who are of childbearing years and trying to get pregnant. It's just, again, one more thing. I'm not saying this is why you're not. I'm just saying if you're really considering it, this might be a good idea to just do one more thing for your health and your goals of becoming a mother. And again, at night, we talked about, you know, quality of sleep, and having that cell phone off and away really does help with the environment that you're in, as well as not constantly looking at your phone and decreasing that screen time before you do get into bed. So again, lots of options to choose from. Don't have to do them all, but they're there. There is a lot that you can do. And again, the risk is not black and white, but again, there is enough of a risk that countries and states are taking notice and making change to their policies. So I'm just wondering how much we really should be paying attention to that. Thank you again for joining me today, and I wish you health and happiness.